Okay, we're recording. Welcome all to Math 212 2023 Summer Term 2. I'm the course instructor, Clark Bray, and what I have here is a recording that I am making for the purpose of communicating about some logistical matters, course organization, that kind of thing. So it makes a lot more sense to do this with a recording than in class time, because class time is so precious and there is so little of it compared to how much material we have to cover. So anyway, getting this done in a recording. Okay, first thing, very quickly, if you're thinking about a math major, please come talk to me. It's no big deal. I just want to ask some basic questions, make sure that you're on track for the courses that you should be taking, and by what time, and get a sense for your plan for going forward, that sort of thing. So no big deal, but I do advise please come talk to me if you're a math major. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the class website. As of the moment, this is where you will find the course website. Notice it does say future right there. That is because I currently am teaching another course here in Term 1 as this recording is being made. So Term 2 is currently in the future. Once the Term 1 is over, then Term 2, Math 212. The course you're taking with me will be the current course, and so coming up very soon here, I'll be changing the location correspondingly. Okay, so for the moment, this is where you will go to find the current state of the website for the class. And I encourage you to go to that website and bookmark it or favorite it or whatever the terminology is with your preferred browser, because you're going to be referring to that page a lot over the course. Okay. All right, this comment down here about other instructors doesn't apply because I'll be the only instructor for Math 212 that term. Okay, very important to, as it says here, read through all of the information on the course website. There's a tremendous amount of information there. It is far more thorough than this recording that I'm making now. In addition to reading through all of that information, also click around on the links. And just see what else is connected to it, so you know what is where. All right. Okay, so here is that website, and I'm going to increase the size a little bit so we can see it a bit better. Maybe not that much. There we go. So this is the website. You can see it's very bare bones. not a lot of fancy web design here, but I believe that this is very thorough and I think pretty well organized. Okay. Alrighty. So a few specific things that I want to talk about on the website. I want to talk first about the content syllabus. So this is going to show all of the topics that we're going to be covering in the course. It's going to show the homework exercises that'll be assigned as we make progress through the term. More details about that in a few minutes. So let's go over and take a look at the content syllabus. You'll notice on the class website, it is right here, top left, content syllabus. So we click on that, and it takes us over to the content syllabus for this course. You see it lists the course textbook right there. Some specific things I want to point out, and again, I'm not going to read the entire page, but there is some listed prerequisite material. So I'm going to assume, and you should make sure that you satisfy this assumption, but that you are proficient in all of the prerequisite material, and in particular with the prerequisite trail for the course. So prereq to this course is single variable calculus. Single variable calculus assumes that you're good with all of this high school stuff, tracing backwards. So geometry, trigonometry, standard high school algebra, that kind of thing. So make sure that you're good with all of that material. Okay, so moving down a little bit, you'll notice that there is a list here of sections from the book that we're going to be covering, and also a list of the titles of those sections. That's in some sense telling you the content of the course and all the sections that we're going to cover in the course. So in addition, notice that there is a column here called exercises. If I can get this to, there we go, exercises. So this column tells you which exercises, mostly from the book but not all, which exercises from any given section will be assigned as homework when we finish that section. So for example, when we finish section 12.1, whenever that might be, not entirely sure. How fast I go through the material depends from term to term. But when we finish that section, page 777. That's hard to highlight exactly. There we go. Page 777 of the textbook, and these specific exercises. Those are the ones that are assigned as homework. Okay, and more details about the assignments and due dates, etc., will come up in a few minutes. All right, so in addition to listing which book sections we're covering and what homework exercises are assigned, you'll notice there's two other columns here, included material and excluded material. So included material, this is where I will indicate some additional topics that are going to be included in the course, part of the course for which you are responsible, but that are not in the book. And there's a few examples of this down here. Various different things, and we'll see these as we go through, but the book, for example, doesn't spend enough time to suit me on symmetry theorems. And I think these are really important, and so I am including them as official course material by that indication. Okay, etc. for a few other things near the end of the course. Currently, there is nothing in the excluded material, but I have this column still here because as we go through, if questions come up as to, hey, do we have to know this stuff? Do we have to know that stuff? Then I'll make entries in this column as needed. Anything that's indicated in this column, you are not responsible for. It's not part of the course. Okay. All right. So I believe that this page should show you everything that you need to know about what is and is not in this course or assumed in this course, etc. Okay. All righty. So that is the content syllabus. All right. Next thing I want to talk about the class schedule. I think I've recently renamed this as class schedule. So the class schedule is also on the web page, and you're going to find that it shows key time-related information like the dates of the exams, what I'm planning to do on any given date, homework assignments, homework due dates, this kind of thing. Let's see it. There we go. And yeah, there we go. Renamed class schedule. So we'll click right here on class schedule. And here we are. So several things to talk about here. Make it a little larger so we can see better. So let me just go down into the meat of it here. So you can see we have the various class meeting dates enumerated here, and for just kind of organizational convenience, I've indicated what week number. That's useful sometimes. So the idea is that on the first day of class, which is Monday, July 3rd, my target, no promises that I'll actually get there, right? But my target is to get to page 12 in my lecture notes, which I'll show you where to find in a few minutes. Okay, so that's the goal. Now, what actually will happen? Well, on that date, after class is over, I'll be able I'll know how far we actually made it. And whatever page we actually finished, I will indicate right here where it says actual. Where it says actual page. Okay, so these two columns will allow you to keep track of where we are in the course, and furthermore to make reasonable guesses as to how far we're going to be getting in the near future. The next couple of days at least. Given wherever we might happen to actually be in the course. Okay, so this is useful information because if, as you should be, you want to do a little preliminary reading before you come to class, kind of get a general idea of what's going to be talked about in class. That's how you'll know, make reasonable estimates anyway of how far we're going to get, on a given day. Okay. So now, again, Monday, July 3rd, first day of class, hoping to finish page 12. We'll actually finish whatever's indicated there eventually, and then there will be homework assigned. And so, assuming that we finish enough material for a homework set to be assigned, I will indicate here that will be homework set number 1. And then in this column right here where it says sections assigned, I will indicate specific book sections from the content syllabus. So, for example, very likely I will be entering into this cell here 12.1 and going back to the content syllabus. Right, again, top left of the web page. You can see 12.1 indicates all of these exercises here. Okay, so those will be assigned on the assumption, wherever it is, whichever date it is that I finish 12.1 indicated there, that's the homework number that where those exercises are assigned. Okay, and you'll notice here as well a due date. Okay, so for every class meeting date, there is a corresponding homework that will be assigned, presumably, with specific sections enumerated and a homework due date. Okay, so let's talk about the homework due dates a little bit. There is something about that to be discussed, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit past the first week just so we're in the middle of the sort of representative sample of the course. Notice that for Monday, July 10, the homework assigned on that date is due Tuesday, July 11. That's the very next day. Now, that is a very tight turnaround, I know. But I think it's reasonable. For one thing, notice that all the homework due dates are actually due at 11 p.m. So what this means is that the material that, where was I? The material, here we go. The material that we cover on Monday, July 10, we'll have finished covering that by, late morning on that Monday. That means that you'll have all of that Monday to presumably do most of the exercises on that assignment. Now, I recognize that you might not be able to do all of it. Some of the questions you'll need help. Very reasonable, no problem. So the idea is, though, that on this Monday that you will attempt all of the exercises and then identify with confidence which ones you need help on, right? And then, after that's done, then on the next day, on Tuesday, you have opportunity to come to my office hours or TA office hours or what have you to get all the help that you need so that you can then subsequently, later Tuesday, finish all of your work on those exercises. And then by Tuesday, and again, always 11 p.m., you can submit your work on Gradescope. Okay, so I hope that it seems like a reasonable schedule. It is tight, but it's deliberately tight. The issue here is that summer courses move at a blinding pace, and we just can't let work for a given day drag several days into the future. I need students to be proficient with this material as fast as I possibly can get you to be proficient with that material, because it's going to be very important for the understanding of all of this material coming up. Okay, so anyway, that's the plan. That's how you interpret the lecture schedule, what's due when and why. And moving along now. Let's see here. While I'm here, I guess we'll note a few other details on this page. Notice no classes on 4th of July, which is typical. But what an odd arrangement we have, that we have a first day of class and then a day off immediately following. Oh well, that's the schedule. Notice that the exams are listed here. Exam 1 is going to be on Monday, July 17, Exam 2 on Friday, July 28, and Exam 3 on Thursday, August 10. Notice the color coding. The color coding is an indication of what material is fair game for said exam. So notice here for Exam 1, all the material that we cover in these first several days of class, colored in green, all of the sections that have been assigned for homeworks due on or before the date of the exam itself. All of that is fair game for the exam. Now you will also notice, however, this day here, Friday, July 14, whatever material we cover in there, notice that's not colored green, that's colored yellow. That is colored yellow, indicating that it is fair game for Exam 2. So the reason for this is that even though I could conceivably include that with Exam 1, I feel like, what's the rush? I have the opportunity to delay that to Exam 2. It is awfully tight to have this material tested effectively the day after it's presented in class, not counting the weekend, of course. And I just feel like that's too tight of a turnaround, and so it will not be fair game. And again, the color coding indicates all of that. And you'll notice a similar trick, this material here, covered on July 27, not fair game for Exam 2. So I like to take advantage of these little opportunities when they present. Of course, unfortunately, no such opportunity down here with the material the day before Exam 3. There just are not enough days. So that's that. Okay. All right, so I believe that's all I need to say about the class schedule. And let's move now back here. So we've talked about the content syllabus, the course schedule. Let's talk about course grades a little bit. The very broad strokes are that it's going to be a weighted average on the 4-point scale. Every graded item in this course will be curved onto the 4-point scale. So 4.0 means A, 3.7 is A minus, 3.3 is B plus, etc. And once on the 4-point scale, your course grade is going to be determined by taking a weighted average of all of those graded items on the 4-point scale. Now, some specifics back to the class website. And again, you see there's a section here called Course Grades. So some preliminary discussion there, some details here about how we're going to grade homework assignments, and how we're going to do attendance. Real quick note, attendance does count as a portion of your course grade in this course. Not very much, but a little bit. But the main points here concern, let's see here. Yeah, so your weighted average for the course, and it is literally just a weighted average. You can, if you're not familiar with weighted averages, you can Google that. That's a simple arithmetic formula. We're going to take a weighted average of, again, various graded items, such as your exams, your homework average, your attendance, etc. Here are the weights. This table here called item weights. So you'll see, for example, that your midterm exam, your first midterm exam counts for 30% of the course grade, etc. Note that homework is 7%. That's significant, right? It's not overwhelming, but it's important enough that you absolutely have to do the homework, otherwise you're going to take a pretty nasty hit on your course grade. Right? And attendance, again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 3% is quite a hit to take on your course grade. So please do make sure to take your homework seriously. Do your best. Work in groups. Double check it. Do your best to get good homework averages. It will matter. And again, please come to class. All you have to do is show up and make sure that I count you as present. Again, it's easy money. Think of it that way. Easy way to earn good numbers. Okay, so having taken your weighted average, using these weights, you will have a course average. Again, all of your weighted average on the 4-point scale, and your course average then will fall into one of these bins. And so, for example, if you end up with, now I'm just going to go down to the B plus range. Some weird things happen near the top of the range. But if you are anywhere in this range right here, from 315 to 350, anywhere in that range, 3.3 is the closest standard grade value to your GPA, to your weighted average. And so that being a B plus, any weighted average in this range gets a course grade of B plus. Okay, now you will notice that what I just said about, for your weighted average, what is the closest standard course grade value? This does not quite apply to the A minus range and the A range and the A plus range. Some sort of odd things happen. The reason that this is, you would think this should be 3.85. Analogous to, for example, this being 2.85. The reason I lower this cutoff to 3.8, which, again, to the student's advantage, is because when you average numbers, there is a tendency for the averages to pinch inward from the extremes, and on the basis of I'm going to call it experimental data. I have taken a large quantity of student grades, student scores from past semesters, and done an analysis and found that pinching in just this little bit, lowering the cutoff, in other words, let's do it like this, lowering the cutoff for an A, just that little bit, is, I think, most representative and fair. Okay. All right. So pretty simple formula. Every one of these graded items is going to get a grade on the 4-point scale. Do a weighted average with these weights. Find that weighted average in one of these bins, and that tells you then your course grade. So nice and simple. If you have any questions about any of this, of course, please come and talk to me in office hours or what have you. I'll be very happy to discuss this as much as needed, so that you can understand, make sure that you understand, how this works and how all of this is going to compute your course grade. A few other things to say. If you're interested in taking this course on an SU basis, some stuff to read here and think about, and then a few other notes about course grades. So feel free to. I'll say, please take a look at all of this stuff down here on your own time. Okay. All right. So there's course grades, and going back to our outline, I want to point out YouTube recordings. So we are going to record video and audio all of the lectures for this course. At least that's the plan. Technology permitting, every so often something goes wrong. But that's the plan. I think this is a tremendous student resource. I encourage you to make heavy use of the recordings. There's a lot of benefit that you can get out of them. So, when you come to class, for example, you're going to hear me talk about a bunch of math. And I think it's very reasonable that you might not understand every single thing that I say in class. The math is going to come at you pretty fast in the class. So it's extremely valuable to come back after the fact and listen to the recordings of the lecture. And parts that you had difficulty with, listen to it again. Try to identify on second listening, what is the reason you're not understanding it? Is there some prerequisite topic that maybe you're not very good with? Or maybe I use some words and you don't recall what those words mean? Whatever it is, and then you pause the recording and then go look up those words, or go brush up on those prerequisite topics, or what have you. Fill in the blanks as is necessary, and then listen to the recording, that portion of the recording again. And I think you'll find that in this way you can really fill in a lot of gaps and ultimately get more out of the lectures by making these multiple passes. Again, not that you're going to listen to the entire recording right? Probably not. But those just, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there of things that you didn't understand. Second pass, third pass, with research in between can make a tremendous difference. So where are you going to find these recordings? Well, you will notice on the class website here that there's a link down here, YouTube recordings, right? So you're going to click there, and this will take you to my YouTube channel. You're going to click where it says playlists. I have everything organized by playlists. Notice there is currently no course called Math 212 Summer Term 2, right? I haven't made that playlist yet because I can't, because I don't have any videos to put in there yet. But for the moment, let me just click on Summer Term 1's playlist, and you'll notice there's a course organization recording. We are currently making that recording, so you'll see that when you go here yourself, and then you'll see here all the class recordings that I've made so far in Summer Term 1. Okay, so that's how you're going to get to those recordings. Alrighty, let's see here. Back over to here. Okay, so I want to say a few things about the learning goals for the course. There's a lot to say about this. In fact, on that point, I have an entire column here on the course website for our term, an entire column called How to Do Well in This Course. So there's a lot to see here. There's a lot to read, a lot to talk about. I'm certainly not going to be able to talk about all of it. But the big point that I want to start with, and you're going to hear me say this a lot in class, over and over and over again, if history is any guide. This is a course about ideas, not answers. This is a course that is about reasoning, not conclusions. Right? So this is a really, arguably a pretty subtle point, but also extremely important. So, and it's inconsistent with how a lot of high school courses are taught. A lot of high school courses are taught that if you get the right answer, cool, good enough, whatever, and whatever sloppy reasoning doesn't really matter. As long as you get to the right answer, cool, it's all good. Well, that's really not a good way to teach a class, in my opinion. I think you'll find that most college courses are about understanding of ideas and being able to perform and communicate good, solid reasoning. Right, so this is what we're looking for. You'll notice, as I have written further down here, this is how points are going to be awarded on exams. Right, this is very, very important. We're going to be looking. It's not just a question of whether you have the right answer at the bottom of the page. That's not what we're looking for. I mean, it's, I suppose, one of the things we're looking for, but it's certainly not the main thing that we're looking for. We're looking for whether your reasoning is valid. Whether your reasoning is complete. Did you skip some major steps? Did you forget to check an important condition of the theorem that you just applied, for example? And then what I call clarity of thought. This includes more than one thing. Just as a for example, if there is a quick and elegant computation that gives an answer to an exam question, and if you give a brute force, detailed, inconvenient, tedious computation that gets to the same answer, well, this was not clear thinking. There was a much better way to solve the problem. Again, it's not about the answer. Right? The fact that you got to the same answer is not the point. The point is could have been better thinking to get to that answer. And so again, clarity of thought is something that does count in exam grading. And then I suppose similarly, clarity of written communication. You do have to be able to communicate your ideas, and the reader, the exam grader, does need to be able to interpret and understand what you meant when you wrote what you did, explaining your reasoning. So again, what you meant when you wrote it is not as important as what you wrote. right? So we can't literally get inside of your head. So make sure that you can write clearly enough so that what you write is actually representative of what you were thinking. Okay. All right, so these are important ideas. Again, this is what the course is about. This is what all serious courses are about. They're about ideas and reasoning appropriate to the course. And the answer is incidental. I suppose if someone gets the right answer, that gives some evidence that they understand something, but it does not replace a clearly communicated reasoning using important ideas from the course, explaining your thought process of how you got to that answer. Okay, all right, so enough of that. You're going to hear me say a lot about that in class as well, so I'll leave further discussion on this into class. Okay, so moving along. So how is this course organized? What was the motivation for setting things up in this course the way they are set up? So there's a lot to say about that as well. Again, this is discussed in the How to Do Well in This Course column on the class webpage right here. Right? A bunch of things to say. The first thing I want to emphasize is what I have underlined right here. There is not enough time in class to learn all the material in class. There's just not enough time. That's just not the strategy. The idea that learning happens in class and that outside of class is something else and it's not expected you would be learning outside of class is preposterous. For a course like this, there's not enough time for that to happen. So you have to expect, so make sure to plan, in fact, that you are learning a lot of material outside of class. I am assuming and expecting that you'll be learning a lot of material outside of class, in addition to hopefully also learning a bunch of material in class. Anyway, it's just very important to have this expectation to know what the plan is, what the assumption is of how you will be doing the learning in this class. Okay, so I'm going to go over back to the class web page again. Here we are, and I'm going to click on Course Design and Strategy. This is a very important page. It says here somewhere. Here we go. So, huge amount of learning happening outside of class. And again, because there's just not enough time to do it all in class. So the other big point that's being communicated here is everything about this course I've designed to optimize the overall learning experience. But specifically, now I know that different students maybe have different approaches to the course. I'm going to be assuming, as the course is designed to optimize the learning experience, specifically for students who are making full use of all of the resources. So, I am not going to be designing lectures, for example, to be the ideal for students who, show up not having done any preparation and who then don't, read the book, after class. The course is just not going to be set up for that. I can't set up the course for that strategy. It's not a winning strategy. It's not realistic, right? So the course is going to be set up for, again, students that are making use of all of the available resources. So another way to say that is that if you aren't making full use of all of the course resources, then not only do you obviously not get the benefit of those resources, but furthermore, the rest of the course is not designed optimally for you. So, again, just a great example of this is if you're expecting to do all of your learning in class, well, the lectures are not set up for that. And so you should expect to have a very serious disadvantage if you don't make full use of all all the course resources. Okay, so please do plan to put in all the necessary hours and do all of everything that you really need to be doing to get the most out of this course. Okay, now a couple of examples. So these 3 bullet points here kind of go together. So I think it's essential to have some idea of what's going to happen in class before you come to class. You don't have to understand all the material, of course. Why would there'd be no reason to come to class if you already understood all the material before class? So that's not the goal. The goal, though, is to have an understanding of where we're coming from, and then to have a vague idea of what's going to happen in class. You don't want to be surprised in class. Oh, he's talking about I wonder what that thing is. I have no idea where this is quite a surprise. What is that thing that he's talking about? This should not happen. You should know approximately what's going to happen in class before class. Then, obviously, you come to class and you'll understand some of the work in class. But again, probably not all. And again, I remind you, that's part of the strategy of the class. I am not making lectures to maximize the in-class learning experience. I am designing my lectures to maximize the overall course learning experience, right? So you'll understand, hopefully, a lot of it in class, but I'm designing the lectures to also give you resources for the after-class learning that you, of course, should be doing. And so designing the lectures with the assumption that you're going to be going back and listening to key portions, after the fact, possibly several times after class is over. Okay. All right. So again, then, you want to redo, the reading after class. Now, with the benefit of what you've learned in class, hopefully you can understand the material much more thoroughly when you read through the book and the notes after, with the advantages of what you learned from class. Okay. And again, don't forget to make use of the lecture recordings. All right. Now, while we're here, I want to comment specifically on this note here about timestamps. I think this is a fantastic idea. Here's an example of it. So this is these are my lecture notes. This an example of what I'll have on the screen as we're going through and talking about material. So for example, then let's suppose that here we are in class, and I talk about all this business about vector addition, and this vector plus that vector results in this vector, and then I comment further that this is the formula, and I leave it as an exercise for students to check that this is the formula that results from this picture. So this picture results in this formula. All right, so how will you remember after class is over that this is something that you were supposed to do? Or how will you remember if you had questions that you wanted to follow up on about this discussion or about the suggested exercise here? Notice you can look down to the bottom right of my computer screen, and there's a little clock down here. And this says 11:02:35, right? So just close enough. You could just write right here on your copy of the notes, 11:02. Right? And maybe just to make it stand out a little bit more, maybe write that in red, right? And then now you have a note. And so after class, you'll look back in your notes, you'll see that it says 11:02, and then when you're watching the YouTube recording, it'll be uploaded to YouTube shortly after class is over. Then you can just click forward until in the recording you see where it says 11:02. So it's a nice little, life hack. For how to make use of the lecture notes and the recordings to allow you to sort of navigate through as efficiently as possible. So I'm a big fan. I hope you will take advantage of this idea and annotate like so. Alrighty. So again, going back to the outline. So a few more things I want to talk about. I think this is a great idea here to always maintain a list of questions. Tremendous amount of material in this course. Not unreasonable to expect that there would be quite a few things that you'll need to ask questions about, either in office hours, my office hours, or TA office hours, or in your study group, or to a friend, or what have you. So very often the problem can be, though, remembering what it was that you had a question about. So I did the following when I was in school, and that was to maintain this list of questions. So anytime it occurs to you, oh golly, I don't understand a particular point. This is weird. Oh golly, what is how do I? Don't sit there and beat your head up against a brick wall right away. Right? If you find yourself at a dead end, you cannot resolve a question on your own. Write it down on your list. Right? So when you've identified something you want to ask at the appropriate time, you write it down. Right? Add it to your list. And then when you feel you understand it, then you cross it out. Really simple idea, just like a shopping list, basically. It's a shopping list for ideas. Think of it that way. So I think this is really useful, and I hope you'll put that into action, help keep yourself organized. Let's see, another comment I want to throw at you, the course resources section. Let's head over to there. This is, again, on the class website, and in the left column, you come down where it says course, let's see, sorry. What was it? Oh, yeah, course resources. Here we go. Course resources, sorry. Right column. Click on course resources. Various things that you can take advantage of. To make a sort of a dramatic point, and you'll notice that I have you yourself listed as your primary number one course resource. That's I won't let me highlight that, but your number one course resource is yourself. So you have to be responsible for taking an active role in doing all that you need to do, pursuing those that you need to pursue to get what you need to be able to do well in the course. Okay. All right. So other things. Notice the textbook, the lecture notes, and me, right, the course instructor. The TAs, we will have some TAs for this course. Those details to come soon. And we want to be able to help, right? But we aren't going to track you down and force you to tell us what questions you have, right? So you have to come to us. So you have to take the initiative to come to us and ask questions. Okay. All right. So another resource, classmates. I am a huge believer in study groups. I used study groups extensively when I was in school to great benefit. I think it's a fantastic tool. If you know some people in the class, or if you feel comfortable taking the initiative and approaching some people in class, or what have you, great, you've got a study group. That's super. Otherwise, I strongly advise you to register with the Study Connect program at the Academic Resource Center. It's a fantastic little program. You sign up for Study Connect, and it will put you in touch with other students who are also looking for study partners in the same class that you're taking. So it's all confidential. Privacy is protected as appropriate, and you're just put in touch with people who are like you, looking for someone to study with. So fantastic. If you can't make a study group happen in more traditional ways. Okay, in any context where you're getting help about math, one of my big ideas that I push is the idea of creating dialogue. I think this is a tremendous idea. So the point is, don't just get help on the specific, homework exercise number 11 that maybe you're having trouble with. Try to start a conversation. So whatever it was about exercise number 11 that was giving you trouble, once you've got exercise number 11 done, make a broad statement, something to the effect of, okay, well, this tool that we used to solve exercise 11 applies in the following broad set of circumstances. Just make a statement, just throw it out there, right? And then whoever you're talking to, be it me or a TA or your study group, whatever, ask them to respond. Is what you said correct? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If what you've said is correct, then you get confirmation from somebody, and especially if it's a TA or instructor, then you can have confidence that what you had said is actually correct. If it's not correct, then someone can help correct you and cure you of a misunderstanding. This is also good, right? So this is a no-lose situation. It's win-win. And then if you're studying with someone else who makes a broad statement about whatever aspect of the material is at hand, if they say something that's incorrect, then you have an opportunity to not only help them, but you have the opportunity to practice communicating subtle mathematical ideas. Again, very, very important skill. I'll remind you, that's what you're going to be doing on an exam, is communicating your reasoning about the relevant mathematical ideas that are relevant to solving that particular exam question. So getting practice with mathematical communication, very valuable. And when you, quote, help someone else with their work, you are also helping yourself by giving yourself that very critical practice in communication that will figure so heavily in this course, in exam grading, homework grading, etc. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm a big believer the starting point for those opportunities is just creating a dialogue. Look for such opportunities in all aspects of your work. Okay, let's see here. I'm also going to point you toward past exams. So if you click right here on where it says Clark Bray's old exams, you'll see a massive cache of old exams. I've been writing exams for a lot of years at this point, and you'll notice that I have those exams and solutions all posted here. So let's click right here from looks like 2017 fall. Yeah, and here's an exam that I gave that term. You can see all the questions. You can use this as a practice test, self-administer if you like, or you can just use the questions themselves as just, exercises to go through. Not sure if you got it right? No problem. Come down to the solutions that should be immediately below. You will find the exact same question there, and then you'll find my solution to that exercise, or to that exam question. Okay. I think this is a fantastic resource. I hope you'll use this a lot. I do advise you not to just go straight to the solutions. You want to struggle with it a little bit. I think this is an important aspect of learning, is to try to do it yourself. Do the best you can, and then compare your work with the solutions. You need that practice. You need to get your hands dirty. You need some dirt under your fingernails. And if you go straight to the solutions, then in some sense everything's going to seem easy because the answer is always immediately presented to you, and that's unrepresentative. It's unrealistic, and it's just not how it's going to go down on an exam. So anyway, good resources. I hope you'll make use of them. Let's see here. Oh, where was I? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kill that page. So these are my old Math 212 exams from old semester courses that are highly analogous to the course that you're taking. I'll also point out that this second link down here that says related midterm exams, these are from summer terms, previous summer terms, in which for many years I taught from a different textbook. Specifically, I taught from my own textbook that I've written. It changes things a little bit. In my textbook, I cover a little bit of linear algebra. That allows me to make a slightly different presentation of how derivatives work and a couple of other things. So there are some little bitty differences there. But still, in these old exams from the previous summers using the different textbook, the questions that you'll find on those old exams are still very relevant and still very good practice. Also related, arguably maybe a little bit further away from this course, is if you look at my Math 219 old exams. Math 219 is a new course as of about a year and a half ago or something like that. So there's not a lot of practice exams here. Math 219 differs from 212 primarily in that it assumes students have had a course in linear algebra. So again, there are some things that I can do a little bit differently. You might find some of these questions are a little bit different, but still, I believe most of the material that you'll find on these Math 219 exams also still very good practice for Math 212. Okay. All right. So great section there on course resources. Let's see here. We've already talked through some of these other things. Oh, you know what? While I'm thinking about it, let me also point out a point of view to take when you're doing homeworks. I strongly advise that you think of homeworks as practice for the exams. Don't think of homeworks as something that you have to do for the points. I mean, sure, yes, they do count for points, but think of it as practice with writing, practice with communicating math, right? And I think I've trampled some, here we go. Yeah, that's the point. So this is very good practice in how to explain your reasoning, how to explain your understanding of mathematical ideas and the thought processes that you've used with those mathematical ideas to get to your result. Anyway, just a thought to keep in mind. Homework is an opportunity. Think of homework as being a learning experience, not an assessment experience. Don't think of it as that you're being tested. Think of it as an opportunity for learning. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Real quick, back to the website. I'm going to point out just a couple other things, and then we'll wrap up this recording. So we've already talked about the content syllabus and the class schedule and the course grades. Note on the general policies page, various things. How do we handle short-term illness, for example? And there's a discussion here of what my procedures are for that. What do I mean when I say this material is or is not fair game for a given exam? This sort of thing. Various topics to be discussed, and much easier again to write it down than to verbally communicate all of it. It's not realistic. Let's see here. Exams and homeworks, various procedures about how exams will run, about how homeworks will run. Notice that homeworks will be submitted through GradeScope. So make sure that you're proficient with GradeScope and how to use scanners very likely with your phone or tablet or what have you. I'm sure y'all are all experts on that as a result of the pandemic. But make sure that you are either way. Let's see here. Good thing to know, the exam curves page. Now, this is not currently filled in, but this will show you exactly how to convert your raw score on an exam to a number, on the 4-point scale. In other words, to a grade. So if you get a 95, for example, on the first exam, the number that will eventually be in here will tell you what your grade is on the 4-point scale. Now, just to give you an idea of what this looks like, I'm going to click over to my current course website. Now, this is not our course. This is Term 1, right? I'm currently teaching Math 219. And on my current course website, you'll see I have exam curves. And we already have a couple of exams under our belt. So you can see, for example, that student on exam 2 with a score of 85 gets a 3.63. So that's how you'll do that conversion. And depending on what score you get, all the numbers there, all the way up and down the range. Notice one thing very dramatically represented here is that this whole idea of 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 90 is a B. That is out the window. That absolutely does not apply on these exams. Anyway, hopefully we won't have a lot of students scoring down here in this range, but a 35 that would typically be well below failing, dramatically below failing, right, is a D on this exam, as it turns out. Every curve is different for every exam, of course. And so a 54, again, typically a dramatic F on a high school test, right? Well, that's a C, straight C. On this particular exam. Okay. All right. So you're going to see that on our exams. Let's see here. So eventually these cells for our current course, these will be filled in as we go through, as we finish exams. Okay. Course materials. This is a good one to know about. Course materials. So various documents and such that I'll be using in class. In particular, notice that this document here that's been the outline for this whole recording, this document is right here. Organizational notes. You can click right there and have that document downloaded if you want to, refer back to it. You'll also find I have right here Math 212 Bray lecture notes. It kind of cuts off the end of the title. That's just that's how my browser works. All the lecture notes that I'll be using in the course, all of this stuff throughout the course, right? These are my Math 212 notes. You can have a copy of that in advance, all however many pages it is. I want to say it's 275 or something like that. All for your, locally on your computer. I think this is a really nice tool. Therefore, you don't have to be transcribing in class. You can sit back and listen and then just annotate as needed. You can, note to yourself, ask in office hours, right? If there's something about that you didn't understand, and just note something real quick. Okay. Alrighty. Now you'll also see that there are some Math 219 materials in here. These Math 219 materials are in here because in some cases, Math 219's take and Math 212's take are identical. And my Math 219 notes were written more recently, and they're just a little bit prettier to look at. You'll see that they kind of show up on the page just a little bit better. So sometimes I'll be using my Math 219 notes just for lecture purposes, but it does remain that the Math 212 notes are how we're going to keep track of where we are in the class. And so these I have, again, they're in there just for sort of lecture purposes, and I'll comment as needed as we go through the course on any differences, what you are and are not responsible for, that sort of thing. In general, anything that happens in class, you're responsible for. Okay. All right. Notice as well, Math 212 AHP. You'll find the AHP document, that stands for, you see here, additional homework problems, is where you'll find certain homework exercises. So there's only a few of them. I found that the Math 212 textbook is short. of coverage in its exercises for certain topics. And so I created these AHPs. You will see them listed on the content syllabus in some of the later sections down here. For example, in section 15.6 on the divergence theorem, notice that there are 2 AHP exercises listed. So AHP you'll find in that document. Again, just as a reminder, that document is on the website, Course Materials 212 AHP. Do be careful not to conflate that with the 219 AHP. The 219 AHP has more exercises on it, and they just because we're teaching out of a different book and it's slightly different course, etc. Okay, I have this 219 AHP in here because it is a nice list of exercises, and if you're looking for some additional exercises to practice from, then this is a good list. Okay. Alrighty, and I think we may be one last thing. Early announcements. So, there is a phenomenon that's unavoidable that I can send out an announcement to the class roster, and then somebody joins the course after I sent that announcement to the class roster. When they join the course, I don't get notified that that student has joined the course, right? So that student, though, can still check in with the early announcement page. And let's see here, just to show you an example, I'll go back again to my Term 1 website, and you'll notice that on the early announcements page, here are a bunch of announcements. So these are announcements that I sent before the start of Term 1 or in the early first few days of Term 1, and these putting them on this early announcements page then ensures that everyone who joins the course will have been notified about all of the important announcements from the course. Okay. All right, so I believe that we are now done with everything I needed to say. I believe I got through this whole list. Yeah. So, okay, that's how the course is going to run and important ideas to consider as you're taking this course. I look forward to meeting y'all on, let's see here. I've already kind of forgotten. We'll check the class schedule. I look forward to meeting y'all on Monday, July 3rd in class. And until then, hope you enjoy the remainder of your first half of the summer. And see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, bye-bye.